3-game losing streak. The Chargers are 5-3 after a 27-10 win at Cleveland. The Chargers defense had 3 interceptions and 6 sacks, 2 touchdowns for running back J.K. Dobbins. The Lakers are at Detroit tonight. Anthony Davis leads the NBA in scoring with 31.8 points per game. The Clippers are home tonight against San Antonio. The Clippers will try for the 5th time to get their first home win in their new arena, the Intuit Dome. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Can I confess something to you? As a longtime California voter, I am so over our ballot proposition process. So many ballot measures, so little time. Too often our so-called leaders don't really lead, and too often many of these ballot measures are misleading. I mean, does yes or no mean I'm voting for it or against it? Talk about a ball of confusion. But here's what I know for sure. I am abundantly clear about yes on Measure A, which would create thousands of new affordable housing units and expand drug and mental health treatment. Every day I step outside our radio station here in Leimert Park, I see what happens when we neglect, when we avoid addressing these critical issues in our beloved community. It is quite candidly a shame and a disgrace. And no, it's not just you. I am personally calling City Hall and care agencies routinely as well. Is this the Tavis Smiley? Yes, it is. I refuse to let the suffering of our people get rendered invisible. Frankly, the reason I'm talking to you about this right now on the radio is because I have not seen the kind of leadership I had expected and hoped to see to get Measure A passed. I guess my hope needs some help. So, I'm sharing this message with you with the hope that you will do the right thing for them and for us. And just so you don't get it twisted, them is us. Yes on A. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
KBLA Talk 1580. That Quincy vibe. Rest in peace to one of our great ones. One of our incredible talents, the genius of Quincy Jones. May he rest in peace. Yes, indeed. And you know, I'm one of those low-key, I love R&B, but I'm also a low-key jazz person too. So, okay, so look, I guess they're all scared of you, James. I'm not sure. We'll see. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. And I have challenged my third-party riders like you, because you go hard in the paint for West Abdullah, to stop bothering us progressives who are choosing Kamala Harris, who are strategically deciding to save our country from fascism, who are actually, in my case, quite happy about some of her proposals and plans, and pick off some of them doggone Trump voters. I have done at least two in the past week.
You've done two?
At least two that were going Trump, and I put them over on the West Abdullah side. I'm like, look, okay, I got you. You don't want to vote for Harris. I don't agree with that, but there's a great alternative. You don't have to not vote. That's not the plan. You don't have to skip the top of the ticket. But I failed when it came to my own family member.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dust up with one of my family members on the white side,
Mm-hmm.
to be candid. I
Mhm.
don't have any black family members that are voting for Trump
Okay.
because, my mom's Italian, my dad's African American.
Right.
One of my Italian family members, Trump, Trump, Trump all day, couldn't get him off the ledge. And honestly, I felt like I was talking to someone who was in a cult, because it was none of the answers that I was getting back were answers about policy or
Well,
our country. They were all things like Kamala Harris lied and said Beyonce was going to perform at her rally, and they just did that to get a big crowd. I'm like, first of all, she never said that, and second of all, who cares?
right.
You're really worried that the people didn't get to see Beyonce? That's your concern for our country.
I mean, from my vantage point, Dominique, honestly, it sounds the same on both sides, right? I mean, if I'm listening to
Oh my God! Don't start with the both sides thing.
no, I'm saying
'Cause
what
we're gonna be boxing.
No, I don't want to. It's all we got to come into this with love and peace. All right,
I'm gonna be boxing with love, like Mike Tyson.
I mean, I've heard of a peace slap, not a love slap, right? I mean, but no, seriously. I mean, you hear people. Here's something I've never heard, and I talk to Republicans just like you, right? Not one Republican has ever said to me, if Donald Trump loses, it's the fault of Dr. Cornel West or a third party. That's only something that I hear.
No,
from
but that's not what
one
I'm talking
argument.
about. I'm talking about people who are black and white people who are voting for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
At least when we argue about your West Abdullah choice versus my Kamala Harris choice, we're arguing about policies.
Sure.
Although you do have some vague things about how she doesn't have enough
I
policies.
did. Okay. Now, let's see. You don't go
But
back
for
there.
the most part, we talk about policies. This is why. This is what I like about Harris. This is why I think we need to defeat fascism.
Sure.
But when I'm talking to my relative, and even listening to people online, the things they're citing are things that, to me, aren't important to our country.
Well, I mean, I believe it's important to them, but
Whether
certainly
or not people got to hear Beyonce at a rally.
low frequency, low information voter, and that unfortunately that's what your family member sounds like. Like
But
it doesn't matter what
this
you
is
say.
a family member who's brilliant, who reads.
The world is full of derelict geniuses, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it
true
doesn't.
that. But I mean, my point is that that's why I feel it's like a cult.
Well, I mean, again, it lands. Here we go with the both sides, right? Me listening in the middle, the arguments from both sides are
You're
always.
not in the middle. You're over to the left, which is fine.
I mean, in the middle of these two parties, these two
Mm-hmm.
candidates, right? But yes, no, you hear, Trump is this, Trump is that, and then you hear Kamala is this, Kamala is that, and neither arguments are moving.
Okay.
me.
Well,
Yeah.
to me, the fact that you would equivocate those is really beneath you, because when we're talking about Project 2025, defeating fascism, we're talking about a platform that includes removing the Department of Education, which will disproportionately impact Black, Latino, and poor
we agree
students.
on Donald
when
Trump.
we are talking about, right, so it's not the same. I'm not just going,
No,
Trump
I'm
pretended he was, giving fellatio to his microphone. It's gross, but, if you had great policies, I could forgive
But
that.
see, you and I have one conversation, right, at one level, and you're talking about a family member who's complaining to you that Beyonce, that Vice President Harris, promised the world Beyonce at an event or something.
Which
like,
she did not do, to be clear.
That's neither here nor. we can't even have an intelligent conversation with that kind of family member.
Those are the talking points.
I mean, like I got some from a family member where they said that my kids are going to suffer and pay the price for me supporting West and Abdullah, and I'm like, that's pretty low.
Because they feel like it's a vote for Trump.
It's a vote for Trump,
right.
And I'm like, now we putting condemnation on kids.
I understand why people say that because of the cheating that goes on with the Republican Party and the way they're already teeing it up to look like there's voters, some kind of voter malfeasance. You know, there are people, a lot of people, who feel like we need as big a victory for Harris as possible in every single state.
Well, folks got to get out there and vote, you know.
Yep.
You're already talking in the...
carry folks with them. Okay, we got Walter Chandler. He's running for state senate in Tennessee. Walter, I think you've already talked about your candidacy, but I did promise anyone who called 3 minutes, so go ahead.
Hey, Dominique, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
As you said previously, I am blessed and highly favored. You know, I've been walking in God's faith, and man, I got into this election even more so since the DNC back in August, and now we're just finishing up here. You know, we got to go out and do our midnight run tonight, go put up banners around at all our precincts to make sure people see they're going to see my beautiful smiling face is the last thing they see before they walk into the voting booth tomorrow. So we're excited and have a plan tomorrow. I have 34 voting precincts in my district, and I'm going to visit all 34 of them tomorrow, too. And again, for those who don't know, my name's Walter Chandler. I'm running for state senate out here in Tennessee. Just north of Nashville, just outside of Nashville and what have you, Nashville, Tennessee. And, you know, we had early voting. Early voting was actually up 9,000 voters, newer voters than the last presidential election. So, and turns out my district actually is one of the more higher voting districts, too, in the state. So it was great. We're really excited. Went out, did my last campaign event Saturday, public event, I should say, outside, you know, canvassing, all that stuff. And had a really good discussion with somebody, really fierce debate. And then talked to somebody else and found out somebody that had already voted for me but didn't really know. And I assuaged their concerns about voting for me, and they're happy they voted for me. Another guy who hadn't voted yet, talked to him. He's like, hey, we connected, and boom, and I got me another vote just out of that. So, and another guy who was MAGA. I swear it's been funny. And I had another guy who was a MAGA. We went back and forth for 30 minutes, which probably wasn't the best use of my time, but we went back and forth. And at the end of it, he said, you know what, when I first started talking to you, my respect for you was just knowing you was a Democrat was pointing like under his shoe. But now I have respect for you above me, you know what I'm saying, above his head. He's like, you know, I wish you best of luck, you know, and I can tell you care. And so that's been felt across the county and across my district. So, we're gonna do some amazing things come tomorrow night. We're excited.
So those voters that you flipped, what are the reasons they're giving you why they were over in the GOP column and why they moved?
I can say, one, my position on gun safety, because I tell them I'm not coming for their guns. I just want you to lock them up and tell them about the options already available, like you can go to your sheriff's office and get a free trigger lock, or you can go buy a gun safe tax-free at any of the stores. And then point out, too, because I recognize that talking about saving lives wasn't resonating, but money does. So I want to point out the fact that your car insurance rates have gone up 20% because of claims from people having cars broken into, stealing guns. And that's reinforced by them watching local news. Every week we see another report about somebody's car broken into and this gun was stolen, a loose gun. That resonates and like, you know what, I hear you. So therefore the fear of the Democratic fear of we're coming for your guns has been assuaged. They don't worry about it.
Well,
and then the other one too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead real quick.
And then the other one was on term limits.
Okay.
I told the guy Saturday, he was a conservative, and he was like, you know, what are your term limits? I'm like, honestly, I think I'm not opposed to it. I mean, state level as a state senator, you get 4 years. The term is 4 years. So I said, if after 3 terms, 12 years in office, you haven't done anything that you tried to accomplish, well, then you need to move out either way to give room for somebody else to try to come in. Yep. He said, you know what? I like that.
Got it. Well, thank you, Walter Chandler, and good luck to you on Election Day.
Thank you again, Dominique. I appreciate the time. Everybody vote.
Yep. What about you, James? Have you flipped anyone over to the
I've
West
worked on a
Abdullah
couple.
side?
I've worked on a
converted
couple.
any Trump voters?
You know what? Here's what I do know. I've had some that have told me that, you know, they like what Abdullah and West are campaigning on, and, you know, that they would support them. But again, when folks go into the ballot box, to the polls,
yeah, You never know.
It's a private,
you never
private
know.
decision.
But to his point, I mean, about gun, people coming for your guns, I think the vice president has been very clear. She owns one. There are Democrats, like the mayor of the city I'm broadcasting from, like myself, a progressive Dem, who believe in reasonable gun control, but want to keep our weapons and want you to be able to keep yours. That said, KBLA Talk 1580 is live on election night. Expert analysis, notable guests, keen insights, plus your live phone calls. Areva Martin, the attorney, and Dr. Nikor Lai-Quartai on the East Coast. They'll be live from the Kamala Harris election night headquarters at Howard University. And me and Tavis Smiley will be holding it down here in the studio. Lamert Park, Africa Town. Our live coverage starts at 4 p.m. Pacific time. All kinds of political insiders, contributors, Adrian Shropshire, John Wood Jr., Dion Raymond, and many more. Starts at 4 p.m. Pacific. And as usual, we will have a lot to talk about. Continuing the conversation here, maybe there's a Republican who's going to call in and see if James can talk you off the ledge. Or we'll got a lot to talk about. It's election eve. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB Marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Badass Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Did you know that 1 in 6 African American men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer? This month, every time you purchase Gillette's family of products, they'll donate to support Movember. Whether you're looking for Gillette's Best Shave, a regimen to help prevent new shave irritation and bumps, or award-winning beard care products, every Gillette purchase can make a difference in the fight against prostate cancer. Visit pggoodeveryday.com/Movember for details. Exclusions apply.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Angelinos, it is critical to vote down ballot this November, especially for our local judges. Judges make major decisions, not just in our criminal courts, but also in our family, juvenile, small claims, and housing courts across LA County. This November, we must elect community lawyers who will bring their informed legal experiences to the LA Superior Court. The defenders of justice are Erica Wiley for seat number 48 and George Turner for seat number 39. If you live in LA County, they will be on your ballot. Ad paid for by the Justice PAC by La Defensa, a project of Tide's Advocacy for Turner and Wiley for Judge 2024. Top funders include Patty Quillen and Smart Justice California Action Fund.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
And we got some folks on the phones. You're welcome to call in, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I don't understand. One thing I want to quickly get your take on, James. I really don't get how people are confused or buying the GOP talking point that because it takes a long time to count, there's cheating. Like if you have the more candy bars you have, the longer it's going to take to count them, right?
Right.
What is mysterious about that?
Confusion.
And Trump getting up there and saying we have to have winners the same night, it's just illogical. Like, so what? We only count as many as we can count in one day?
Again, like I said in the first hour, you'd have to go back to Barack Obama when those two races were called the same night. Most of the time, it could be the next day, a couple of days afterwards.
Or weeks.
Or weeks.
Let's ask Al Gore what happened in that race. It doesn't, especially if it's a close race, right? And especially now that you have so many people mailing in ballots, and these states have all these weird rules, like you can't start counting the ballots until Election Day. I mean, if they would start counting them as they came in, they all have different weird rules and different standards and different equipment. It doesn't mean you're cheating.
No, it doesn't. And Trump is in his campaign. They're trying to create confusion, right, with misinformation and disinformation, and so. Whichever way the results come out, right, in the next few days or weeks or whatever, I think both sides are going to pose some sort of objection to what the final results are.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see who's on my phone. We've got Willie calling us from Florida. Good morning. Willie, you with me?
Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
We do now, yes.
Hey, how you doing, Dominique? Shout out to you. Shout out to your co-host. There's nothing I would want to be doing more on my birthday morning than calling into your show, expressing the joy that I feel about the voters in my voting location in Florida. I have been working as a poll greeter for the past 2 weeks. It's my free part-time job. I am glad that it's over. I done turned a couple shades darker out there, but the education and the information of my people was top priority and a top concern of mine. And when I went to early vote the first day and I looked at the amendments on the ballot, we knew about 3 and 4, abortion and marijuana, but we didn't know about 1, 2, 5, or 6, or the county amendments. So my job out there was making sure that my brothers and sisters were educated on these and knew how we were voting democratically. And my polling location, even though I'm in Orange County, which is blue, I performed all of the other polling precincts in Orange County when it came to Democrat and Republican voters. We whooped Republican voters by about 7,000 voters. And if we count the independents that might be leaning on our side, we got them by about 10,000 in Orange County. So I am absolutely happy about that. It really did something for my soul to be out there seeing my brothers and sisters, the Spanish community and the Haitian community coming out and representing for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And on the West Abdullah ticket, I'll just say this here. I was really disappointed when the campaign manager, either in a video or in a space on Twitter, or as we call it 10 now, said that she was secretly for Trump. So once that happened, I didn't see West as a viable candidate and an option. I seen him as an op to sit back and take away black voters. I did not see him ballot in Florida, and I wasn't really looking for him. So I'll leave that there. I'm hoping everybody's having a blessed and beautiful Monday. Hey, we got one more day left. If there's somebody you can convince to come over here to vote for Harrison Walz, do it. Let's push through the tape. Let's run through the finish line, good brothers and sisters. I like calling y'all from the other Orange County and the other Sunshine State.
And we appreciate you, too. James, I know you got some pushback on the West.
First of all, Willie, thank you for the service that you're doing. It's very patriotic of you, brother.
Absolutely.
And sometimes doing the uncomfortable things is what patriotism is about, right? I can assure you, my friend, you have not seen any messaging from Dr. West's campaign manager, Sister Kiana Dent, that said anything remotely close to her supporting Trump.
That's the new campaign manager, who was the old campaign manager. Because after she put out that statement, she had to jump off. The bandwagon. So whoever the old campaign manager was, yeah.
Well, brother, we're not talking about that. I mean, I hear that's what you're talking about, but I assure you right now, as I sit in this studio in Lamert Park and write in Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah on air, my support has been since July when he announced in 2023 to the current day, and I will be turning in my ballot tomorrow.
I mean, I do think it's interesting that Jill Stein admitted, she said at one point that she would consider pardoning Trump. I thought that was really telling. That's not West Abdullah. That's the Stein campaign. And my theory about Jill Stein. If you're really that concerned about black people, step down and give your support to West Abdullah. That's an all-black ticket. You can sit this one out. Maybe he's talking about Peter Dow, who resigned from the campaign about a week ago. I don't know. But in any case...
Kiana Dent has been the campaign manager for quite some time, so I don't know who he's speaking of. But like I said, I'm supporting the West.
That was in 2023. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, in any case, I'm quite sure that's not Dr. West's intention, but... There are plenty of people who feel like, especially in swing states, the third-party candidates, of which there are several, which would make them fourth and fifth and sixth-party candidates, are the margin of defeat if this race is really as close as the polls say, which I don't think it is.
We will see. Well, I'm looking forward to. I'll be at the West Abdullah campaign headquarters tomorrow. For their celebration as the results come in, and we're going to have a love warrior celebration, and we're going to wait to see the results just like everyone else.
Oh my gosh, and there's so much at stake. Please vote down ballot. Don't get stuck just with your big head thoughts about the top of the ticket. Prop 36, no if you're in California. Prop 6, yes. These are the important things. How do we have a reparations commission and still wondering if we should get rid of forced prison labor? Come on. I feel like LeBron James. What are we even talking about right now?
Can we agree before we get off air today?
Yeah, real quick.
No on Donald Trump.
Okay, yeah, I think we agreed on that last time you came in. All right, James Farr, thank you so much for joining me as always, and I will talk to you after we know. Well, at least after Election Day.
I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Secretary of State is next. Dr. Shirley Weber on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Former President Trump campaigned in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, while J.D. Vance, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Donald Trump Jr. held events for Team Trump. Team Harris saw Tim Walz, former President Obama, and First Lady Jill Biden at rallies, while Vice President Harris attended a church service in Detroit and made several other stops in Michigan. The music world is mourning a legend. Hall of Fame songwriter, record producer, and performer Quincy Jones is dead at the age of 91. The 28-time Grammy winner passed away Sunday at his home in Bel Air, California. The NYPD does not suspect foul play in the death of a 24-year-old man who fell from the 3rd floor of a building in Brooklyn on Sunday. Authorities believe the victim was watching the New York City Marathon when he fell. And the Minnesota Vikings snapped a 2-game losing streak by beating the Indianapolis Colts 21-13 at US Bank Stadium on Sunday Night Football. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Progressive Insurance offers a great price and round-the-clock protection when bundling home and auto. It's one of those rare times where you could save money and get something great. Bundle today at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a good day Sunday for both of LA's NFL teams. The Rams and Chargers were winners on the road. The Rams beat Seattle 26-20 in overtime. Third straight win for the Rams. Wide receiver DeMarcus Robinson caught a 39-yard touchdown pass in overtime to win it. Rams safety Cameron Kitchens had 2 red zone interceptions. He returned one of them for a 103-yard touchdown. The Rams are 4-4 after a 3-game losing streak. The Chargers are 5-3 after a 27-10 win at Cleveland. The Chargers defense had 3 interceptions and 6 sacks, 2 touchdowns for running back J.K. Dobbins. The Lakers are at Detroit tonight. Anthony Davis leads the NBA in scoring with 31.8 points per game. The Clippers are home tonight against San Antonio. The Clippers will try for the 5th time to get their first home win in their new arena, the Intuit Dome. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're an adult in need of an accredited high school diploma, the Los Angeles Public Library can help. You can earn one for free in as few as 5 months online with 24/7 access. You also get a personal academic coach plus special training focused on 9 in-demand industries, as well as a resume and cover letter to advance your career. Visit the website at lapl.org/diploma. That's lapl.org/diploma.
Feeding Our Friends on the Outside will be hosting its 15th annual Feeding the Homeless event in Greater Los Angeles on Sunday, November 10th from noon until at 11129 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles. If you would like to donate or volunteer, please call 310-981-6377 or email them at feedingourfriends05@gmail.com. feedingourfriends05@gmail.com. It's the 15th anniversary of Feeding Our Friends on the Outside, Sunday, November 10th from noon until 11129 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles. For more information, call 310-981-6377. 310-981-6377. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Before running for state senate, Laura Richardson was named one of the most corrupt members of Congress, guilty on 7 counts of ripping off taxpayers and a pattern of deception trying to cover it up. Richardson is too shady for state senate. For your state senator, frontline nurses, classroom teachers, and Planned Parenthood Advocacy Project support Democrat Michelle Chambers, a champion for abortion rights, higher wages for workers, and more affordable health care. Democrat Michelle Chambers for state senate.
Ad paid for by nurses and educators supporting Chambers for Senate 2024, sponsored by labor and nonprofit environmental and health organizations, Ad Committee's top funders, SEIU California State Council, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutrition nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We are, and it is my honor to welcome in the Secretary of State for the state of California. She was nominated to serve by Governor Gavin Newsom back in December of 2020, sworn into office on 2021. She's California's first Black Secretary of State, only the fifth African American to serve as a state constitutional officer in California's 170-year history. And of course, she is probably most well known on this microphone as being the godmother of reparations in the state of California when she was an assembly member and she stood up the reparations task force through her legislation. Secretary of State Shirley Weber, welcome.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's good to be on call with you again this morning. Haven't talked in quite a while, but tomorrow's an important day, so thank you for the invitation.
Oh, yeah, we appreciate you stopping by. I know you're very, very, very busy right now. What is encouraging you? Let's start there. I know, we've had a lot of changes over the years to make our voting process more accessible here in California.
Yeah, it is. We have done a lot in California to make things more accessible, to make it easy for everyone. We've changed laws that says that you can vote when you're on probation or when you're, whether you're on probation or anything else, as long as you're not sitting physically in a jail of a prison, I should say, federal or state prison for a felony, you can vote in California. And so we encourage everyone to understand that, so that if you're sitting in a situation and think because you're an ex-felon that you can't vote, you can vote in California. And we encourage everyone to do that. We even have same-day registration. In other words, if you forgot to register or you just realized that you have this right now, you can actually go and register to vote and vote provisionally. We'll hold your ballot until we check to make sure that you are this is not a second-time voting situation or whatever it may be. Then your vote will count. So we make it easy for people in California. Everybody gets a ballot. You don't even have to come to the polls. You can drop it in the mail. You can drop it in a drop box, or you can go to the polls. So there's no reason for any of us not to vote. And particularly if we're African Americans, there is a lot of reason for us to vote, given all the folks who sacrificed and fought for us to have the right to vote. I'm a second-generation voter because my grandfather was a sharecropper in Arkansas, and he never got a chance to vote. He died before 1965, the Voting Rights Act, and so people in Arkansas refused to register you. So my parents came to California, and they immediately registered to vote, but they were well up in their 30s. And so I'm a second-generation, voter, which is weird given, how much voting has taken place in the last 60, 80 years. But that's where we stand. And so we need to pay at least tribute to the fact that our folks knew how important voting was and how it affects our community. And so no one should have an excuse really not to vote. I hear some of the lamest excuses. Well, I don't like the people. Well, if we only voted on people we like, none of us would vote at all because it would be something wrong with everybody, And so we vote on the best candidate that we can find who will represent our interests, and that's what everyone else does. So I want to encourage everyone to really take advantage of this opportunity. It is so convenient. You have 11 days to vote. We've already been voting now for 10. This is the 10th day that people have been voting. So it is. It's very easy to do, and it's very convenient. And I want to encourage people to take advantage of it and do whatever they can to find their local place to actually put their ballot in or just to go in and register to vote.
It's pretty remarkable when you put it like that, Secretary of State. You are the second generation in your family voting, and you took it all the way to Secretary of State. You weren't messing around.
Well, it's interesting. I tell people when I was asked by the governor to serve, I was hesitant, and then I thought to myself, how ironic that the daughter of a sharecropper who had a grandfather who never voted in this country, who was born in this country, how ironic it is that this girl raised in the Pueblos of Los Angeles, the projects, and I become responsible for 40-some-odd Californians and 22.5 million voters, largest voting base in the nation. So it's kind of interesting to see the story, how it comes in that way, that my parents denied the right to vote, grandparents never got a chance to vote, and all of a sudden I am responsible for the largest voting base in the nation. And but, my community pushed, I pushed, and we took advantage of what we could. We had the same hardship as everybody else, sometimes even more. But nonetheless, if you're persistent, and I tell folks all the time, if you want to do something, don't let anybody stop you. Our ancestors didn't, and we shouldn't. And voting got me where I am. It's just that important,
Your grandparents are smiling. I know that's right. Somewhere they're smiling. Secretary of State Shirley Weber, has the news about ballot boxes or mailboxes being set on fire, does that giving people pause? And what can you just say to folks who are worried about where they take their ballot?
Well, that gives us all pause. But I say to those who are trying to think about doing that keep in mind a ballot box is a federal object. And if you decide to burn a ballot box, you're going to spend some serious time in jail for a felony, okay? It's a federal offense, and you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for denying people their right to vote. But I'd say to those who have some hesitation, and I don't know if folks have seen those boxes, they are like armed tanks in California. I mean, these are not your everyday posts. They're thicker than a mailbox. I mean, these are huge, thick things, and it's difficult to get your ballot in, and nobody can get it out other than through having the key. But I say to those, if you have those, we put them in places, we hope, where there's plenty of light, there are cameras, there are all these kinds of things, and that that hopefully will give people some concern about trying to do that. But even if you think, I don't want to leave mine out here, there's a couple of things you can do. One, you go inside and you go into a postal service and in a post office and put it in the mailbox, because the mailbox will take your ballot there too. You can also still vote in person. You can go to your vote center and turn it in personally to the person who's sitting at the desk who's giving people the right to vote. You can turn your ballot into that particular person. Or you can go onto the actual voting center and vote yourself. If you think you have some concerns about your ballot, putting it in a ballot box, sign up for Where's My Ballot. That is on our website, and that tracks your ballot for you. So that the other day, as I'm riding down the street and I look at my phone, and all of a sudden I discover it says, Shirley Weber sent you a message that says, we have received your ballot and it has been counted. Okay, every time I get that, I go like, wow, it works, as if it shouldn't work. We've had millions of Californians who've signed up for Where's My Ballot. It's real simple. And when you do that, you get a chance. It tracks your ballot all the way to the point where it's been counted. And so your ballot is in, we've got it, we've counted it. And we keep a paper record of every ballot that comes in and every vote that's there. So we have a way of tracking our own some accountability that the ballots have come in. If we had to do a recount, we could do that. All those things are there. So it's not just you just dropped it in and you don't know where it went and how it went and did they get it? Yes, we did get it. And we have a number of ways that you can ensure that.
I read that we have had a huge number of young people that registered to vote ahead of this election. Is that right?
Yes, we have. I think that one of the times I was on there with you, we were talking about the 16-year-olds. That was a couple of years ago, being able to register to vote. Well, this is their first presidential election, okay? And we started this early pre-registration things with them. We got our young people working in the polls. So you may run across some high school students or some 17-year-olds actually working at the vote centers who will also be paid to do that. They've been trained, and so we're trying to get them early to think about this whole process of voting and why they should be a part of it. But we've also had our ballot competition at our universities. We give an award to the university that has the largest number of persons to register to vote. And we've made it possible so that our college students can register when they register for classes at the community college, CSU, UC, private institutions. They can all register to vote. So there's a huge competition with them. We have over 1.2 million high school students who pre-registered to vote, and many of them will be eligible to vote. And we also have, I think, about 1.5 million young folks between 18 and 25 that we've actually registered to vote. So we have a significant number. We meet with them regularly. They have competitions about how to vote and how to be civically engaged and all these kinds of things. And so we're looking, and they're excited about the fact that they get a chance to vote, that they have their first time, and that we're focusing on them as a population that we want to really turn out the vote for. So we're excited about the fact that in California, so many young people want to vote and have signed up and are participating in a number of civic activities to increase the vote on their campuses.
Yeah, so people that pre-registered, if they turn 18 in time for the election, they're ready to go. I love that initiative so much.
And we send them a letter congratulating them and letting them know that they are, and they're automatically put on the rolls. Automatic. They don't have to do anything. And we register them at their high schools. So they automatically then are registered to vote. Yeah.
SOS.ca.gov, that's the Secretary of State's website, SOS as in Secretary of State, SOS.ca.gov if you want to sign up for Track My Ballot or all of the many things we're talking about. We will continue our conversation with our Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Angelinos, it is critical to vote down ballot this November, especially for our local judges. Judges make major decisions, not just in our criminal courts, but also in our family, juvenile, small claims, and housing courts across LA County. This November, we must elect community lawyers who will bring their informed legal experiences to the LA Superior Court. The defenders of justice are Erica Wiley for seat number 48 and George Turner for seat number 39. If you live in LA County, they will be on your ballot. Ad paid for by the Justice PAC by La Defensa, a project of Tide's Advocacy for Turner and Wiley for Judge 2024. Top funders include Patty Quillen and Smart Justice California Action Fund.
This is 30-second Chevy Holiday Red Tag Radio, produced for Carol H. Williams by Radio Bob Resort on October 31st, 2024. Spot title Every Adventure Short 30. ISKI code GCSV0022000.
Add confidence to every holiday adventure and get it done with a rugged and capable Chevy truck or SUV. Find your red tag. Get 0% APR financing for 36 months on select popular Chevy models when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Offer available on all 2025 Equinox and 2024 Silverado, Equinox EV, Blazer EV, and Silverado EV models. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 22.2%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24.
This is Assemblymember Tina McKenna reminding you to vote for my girl, Sade Alawari, for State Assembly. Sade is a part of our community, and she's the partner I need in Sacramento to help fight for economic justice, affordable housing, health care, and so much more. Sade is just like us. She comes out of our community, and she spent years working in our community, bringing people together. That's why she's endorsed by Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Supervisor Holly Mitchell, teachers, firefighters, and Planned Parenthood advocates. This is Tina McKenna, and I need you to make a plan to vote and to vote by Tuesday, November the 5th, for Sade Alawari for State Assembly.
Ad paid for by Opportunity PAC, a coalition of teachers, nurses, faculty members, school employees, and public and private labor, healthcare, and environmental organizations. Ad committee's top funders, California Teachers Association, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Take it from Michelle Obama.
This election is going to be close. Michelle Obama is asking you, no, I'm telling y'all to do something.
This election is our moment to continue the fight of those who came before us. And we have the power to do it, but only if we do it together.
We did it before, y'all, and we sure can do it again. Let us work like our lives depend on it.
Paid for by NAACP.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You are, and right now you're listening to the Secretary of State for the state of California, the Honorable Dr. Shirley Weber. Hearing all of these crazy stories right now, it's I guess par for the course with our elections in 2024. One is that overseas votes are being challenged and being disparaged as possibly shady. But Americans who live overseas have always been able to vote in the last place they lived. That was my understanding.
And they still are able to do that, as well as our military overseas. There's a special way in which they vote. Many of these rumors are unfounded with regards to whether they can, or is it shady, or is it this or that. There's a special, we mail our ballots out overseas to all of our military and people who actually live overseas earlier than we do other ballots. And they come in, and we have a certain time frame that we count them, and there's been no challenge to any of them. I tell folks, there's been so many unfounded rumors. Someone told me one the other day, and I asked them, "Where'd you get that from?" "I don't know. Somebody sent it to me." "Who?" I mean, it's just like,
yeah.
And you're spreading it along too, I mean, so just stop, just stop. If you don't know who's sending you something, just stop. And if you want to find out whether it's true or not, all you have to do is go on our website, and we have almost everything on the website that's there. Any rumor that's coming out, we can dispel, and you can call our hotline, 800-345-VOTE. I mean, you call the hotline, and they'll tell you exactly whether it's true or not. So, I tell folks, before you start putting out messages that you don't know anything about and that you don't know where it came from, check it out first with the Secretary of State, or else with the Registrar of Voters. All of us have these hotlines, have people who can give you information, and then you can stop the rumor. Because like I say, people tell me things, and I ask a simple question: where did you get that from? And they don't know.
Where did you get that from? Know the source. The other thing that is worrying me some, Dr. Weber, is this. It's a rehash of a guest talking point from 2020, which is, if it takes a long time to count, that means there's something shady going on, or that somehow I think the former president said yesterday that we have got to be able to have the results of our elections on the same night that people cast votes, on election night.
Right. Well, that, and we all take whatever he says with a kind of grain of salt in terms of whether or not that is true. It's never been true. We've never had all of the votes counted. We've had oftentimes enough votes counted and know how many that are left to be counted, that if you can add and subtract, you can figure out this person is probably going to win. And so we kind of know that if there's election and there's not enough ballots left to count to actually change the outcome of the election, that. And that's where you end up with people making predictions about who's going to vote and who's going to win and who's not going to win. It takes a while to count. We have 22.5 million ballots. So far, we've gotten, I think, 8 or 9 million already in. And we'll have a lot more today, and I haven't gotten a count from yesterday either. So all of those things will take place. What we do with all of our ballots, first of all, is because many of our ballots are mail-in, our voting is mail-in. We have to verify every signature that's on that ballot that you send in, which means we have folks who are validating and verifying every signature that is sent in, and we have to do that before we actually open the ballot. So we have to verify the signatures that are there. We count every ballot that comes in. People who are mailing their ballot in have until 8 o'clock tomorrow night to actually have it postmarked, which means we won't get it for a couple of days, those who decide to put it in the mail, as long as it's postmarked by the date of of the election at 8 o'clock, and we get it within, I think it's 7 days. We still have to count that ballot. Our overseas ballots are coming in, and they have a certain deadline date for them. So we have lots of ballots that'll still be left to be counted, even though many people will have declared who's winning and who's not. So we don't give the newspapers will tell you, and the media will tell you exactly who they think won. We don't give any count out until it is actually done, and we've certified every election and every ballot that we have that this is what the numbers are. But people can concoct any kind of story they want. If they win, obviously the election is great. It was valid. There was no fraud. There was nothing that happened. It's always interesting to me when people declare fraud on these ballots, but they don't declare it on every candidate on the ballot. You know what I'm saying? If the president doesn't win, then it was fraud. But if the senator who was on the same ballot won, it wasn't a fraud. I mean, how could that happen? How could people actually pick and choose, who's going to be where we're going to do fraud and where we're not going to do fraud, whether or not the ballot is valid or not? And that's I always ask people when they tell me that. I said, well, you ran on the same ballot. Did you win? If this person didn't win. And people don't think in those terms like, well, that's true. How is everybody else winning and yours is a fraud? I mean, so these are the kinds of things that we look at. But we have been to court, as you know, over 50 times in this nation, and there has never been any rampant fraud that's been found anywhere in terms of what is happening with our voting. We always have, like I said, these people who start stories early in the game that says, I think there's something wrong, yet they can't identify what it is. When we ask them for the verification of it, everything that comes in that is suspect, we ask for verification. Tell us where you got it from, who told you that. People can't tell you that. You can't just go searching in the night. So we're prepared for it. We know there's going to be some concern about all kinds of things, and that's why we have folks in places to make sure that everything goes well in L.A. and around. We also have we have a number of observers who are employed by us who go and observe the various polling places, and they report to us every day on what they see and what they saw in the process and all those kinds of things. And we allow the public to come in and look. If you think that there's something going on in L.A. County's voting, you call the registrar of voter, tell them you want to be an observer, and they will let you in anytime to come and see what's going on. You cannot touch the ballot. You cannot go inside to look at the names on the ballot. You can't do any of that. But we have created these corridors that people can actually go down, and it's a glass corridor, and you can actually see the machines and see the ballots that are coming. The ballots that are coming in and how they're certifying the signatures and so forth and so on. So it's an open process, and people do take advantage of it in large numbers. They go to the registrar of voter and they want to watch. They want to see what is going on. And oftentimes after they're there for a short period of time, they leave because they say it's kind of boring. There's no action going on. It's just people getting envelopes, verifying signatures on a machine, and then passing it along to the next person. So it's not like the hit of the day, but it can people want to see it and they go see it and see what we're doing. So we encourage people to, if they have questions, they have concerns, they want to talk about something, give us a call. If they want to go to registrar of voters and go to one of the places where the counting is taking place and where the ballots are being opened, you're welcome to do that. And it's an open opportunity for anyone who chooses to do it, so long as you come in there without disruption. You can't disrupt the process. You can't get in the process, but you can observe it.
Well, Secretary of State Dr. Shirley Weber, really appreciate you checking in with us this election eve. We've got a minute left. What would you like to spend it talking to us about?
That everybody should take advantage of this. It still is amazing to me that in all the countries in the world, we're the one country that really has access to voting for everyone, and people get a chance to do it. They participate in the process, and it's really the only way you can thoroughly participate in the process and see results. So I encourage everyone who is even thinking about not doing it to go and register to vote if you haven't already registered. But if not, take your ballot and turn it in and vote along with the rest of us. And I encourage those who haven't registered to be sure to register. Get involved and understand how long it took us to get to where we are in terms of voting, and to realize that whatever is on the ballot, vote your conscience, vote your heart, and make a difference for LA and for all of California. We need people to turn out, and particularly those in the black community. I encourage you to do so because you know how long the journey has been for us to get to the point where we have representatives, your mayor, your folks who look like you, others who really struggled, and they need not only a voice to get in office, but they need you to stay engaged and to let people know that they have the support of the city to make a difference. So I want to encourage you to get involved, to get engaged, and to take advantage of this. And I would love to see an amazing turnout in Los Angeles and when I look at the numbers tomorrow night. So once again, thanks so very much for having me on. I look forward to an amazing day tomorrow in terms of participation of all of California in the voting process.
Dr. Shirley Weber, thank you, and thanks for all the work you do. News, traffic, and sports, then it's time to call me on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know from BIN News. Former President Trump campaigned in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, while J.D. Vance, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Donald Trump Jr. held events for Team Trump. Team Harris saw Tim Walz, former President Obama, and First Lady Jill Biden at rallies, while Vice President Harris attended a church service in Detroit and made several other stops in Michigan. The music world is mourning a legend. Hall of Fame songwriter, record producer, and performer Quincy Jones is dead at the age of 91. The 28-time Grammy winner passed away Sunday at his home in Bel Air, California. The NYPD does not suspect foul play in the death of a 24-year-old man who fell from the 3rd floor of a building in Brooklyn on Sunday. Authorities believe the victim was watching the New York City Marathon when he fell. And the Minnesota Vikings snapped a 2-game losing streak by beating the Indianapolis Colts 21-13 at US Bank Stadium on Sunday Night Football. Get BIN News 24/7 at BINnews.com.